So kind of bringing it back to a little more of your career, it sounds like after 9/11, shit got different for you for a long time.
Yeah.
But then eventually things settled and you went back to investigating financial crime.
What happened, though, is I got transferred to Honolulu, Hawaii.
That's a change of pace.
It sure was.
It's a nice vacation, though.
Yeah, it sure was. So
how'd that happen?
Honolulu, people think it's like everyone. Have you ever been to Honolulu? Have you been to Hawaii?
Never been to Hawaii.
It's a lovely place to
It's
go
on my bucket
vacation.
list.
It's a great place to go on vacation. People go there and have the best vacation of their lives. Living there's a little different, right? Living there, you're not living in a resort. You're not eating at the buffet. You're living in a small house, and maybe the schools aren't so great. Maybe your spouse can't get a good professional job because there's not a great professional sector there outside of hospitality. So it's actually not a very sought after office for the FBI. So every now and then what they have to do is they send out a email to every FBI agent saying, hey, we're looking for volunteers. Anyone want to go to Hawaii? And so I saw that one day after another cold Chicago winter, and I was kind of reaching the conclusion on a lot of cases and trying to figure out what's next for me. Went home, talked to the family, and next thing you know, a few weeks later, we're kicking it in Hawaii for 7 years.
Wow, so you chose that. You're like, let's go to...
Raise my hands. and I've been done with winters ever since.
Wow.
I know you romanticize winters, but
how long did it take you to adjust to the heat there?
Honolulu's perfect. It's like here. It's like every day is like...
Dude, I had to adjust even to this. I'm like a very heat-sensitive guy. I'm like
I went like 5 years without wearing a shirt. It was fantastic.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, no, I loved it.
You were built for it. You were chosen, really, by the Lord, I think.
I loved the summer. To me, anytime when I was in Chicago and there was an opportunity to go on, vacation or a cruise or something like that in the winter, or even go to Florida to go to Disney for something, I looked forward to it because it was going to be warm. I was never built for the cold. And when I look back on my life and how miserable I was in that cold Chicago weather, I just know I wasn't built for that. And so never again. But answer your question, I get to Honolulu, I get put on a financial crime squad right over, and I spent 7 years doing financial crimes and the best time of my life.
How do the crimes in Honolulu differ from the crimes in Chicago?
They differed quite a bit for me because, again, remember in Chicago, I was on a bank fraud squad.
Yep.
So my victims were all bankers. And I'm going to break it to you gently. Citibank and Chase and Bank of America really didn't give a shit about whether they got ripped off or not. It wasn't a big deal to their bottom line. In Honolulu, I was on an investment fraud squad, right? My victims were little old ladies and families and small businesses that had been ripped off in frauds by bad con men. And those little old ladies were crying on my shoulder, looking me in the eyes and saying, we need your help. I need someone to give me justice. And so I just sort of had a real new sense of purpose because for the first time in my life, I had human victims that I can be a champion for.
Yeah, you had someone really there to thank you for your work.
Right, exactly.
That's got to be super fulfilling.
It was great.
After a whole career of just kind of thankless work to an extent.
Yeah, sometimes you could get their money back or seize the bad guy's car and auction it off and give the money to the victim, or at least get the victims the justice they know by putting this bad guy who ruined their lives away for years and years.
What were some of the Hawaiian cases that stood out to you?
Oh, let me think. I had a crazy case. The people of Hawaii, they're lovely people. They're really friendly, kind of like intuitively friendly people, but they're not super sophisticated financially because the financial services sector just wasn't one of the industries that they cultivated.
Yeah.
Right? And so they would get con men from out of town. There was a guy who came into Honolulu and started doing investment seminars. His name was Patrick Rakuta Nanahare.
Oh.
And he was from Madagascar originally, but settled down in Fort Myers, Florida. Flies to Hawaii, starts having these seminars at like the Sheraton on how you can make a ton of money in Forex trading.
Oh, boy, dude.
Right? You know what Forex trading is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it's the idea that you can trade foreign currencies, dollars to yens to
Just
euros.
keep swapping currencies and you'll get rich.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but what he said is, he said, listen, I don't need you to be good at Forex. I'm great at Forex. What I'm going to have you guys do is invest money with me, and I'm going to give you 6% a week on the money that you invest.
A week?
A week.
Sounds great.
It was amazing, right? And because he had developed, his company was the Cyber Market Group, a computer algorithm to trade Forex. And you wouldn't even owe him money. Anything he makes above that 6% a week, he gets to keep.
Oh, wonderful.
It's fantastic. So he brings in about $1 million from about 100 different Hawaii families. And you know what happens? He starts paying them out. They're 6% a week. But what they didn't understand is that money was not being derived from Forex trading, but he was just taking their money and the money of other investors and funneling it right back to them in the amount of 6% a week. Which is what we call a Ponzi scheme, right? It's when you pay people investment returns with their own money and with the money of other investors, while he's taking giant sums of money, putting it in his pocket, and spending it like a drunken sailor. Eventually, the Ponzi scheme collapses because they all do. And my phone starts ringing from people saying, help, help, I've been robbed. So I get all the documents together, talk to the victims, hop on a plane from Honolulu to Fort Myers, Florida, knock on his door one morning, walk in there, and walk out an hour later with a signed confession from him. And he ended up going to prison and then getting sent back to Madagascar.
You make it sound kind of easy.
Well, I mean, it took about a year total. But yeah.
The way you word it, just went and knocked on his door, got a confession.
Well, again, keep in mind, by this point, I had been an agent for damn near 15, 16 years.
So it was getting easier for
working
you.
a lot of cases that involved me conducting interrogations and getting people to confess to me and tell me the truth.
So another case that you had mentioned working on in one of the previous interviews that you'd done had a nickname to it. And the Stevie Wonder blunder
that was
is something I wanted to ask you about because I only heard the nickname. What even is that?
Okay, so the Stevie Wonder blunder was a case in Honolulu, Hawaii. Hawaii doesn't get a lot of concerts because it's from big stars because it costs so much to get all the equipment there and the band there and all that. So when Hawaii gets a concert, it's usually a band that's like coming back from their Japanese tour or something like that. But one day we hear that Stevie Wonder is coming to concert in Honolulu, and everybody was so excited because he's a big star. And I love Stevie Wonder, and so I knew FBI agents on my squad who were getting tickets for the show. It was going to be at the University of Hawaii, and it was going to be a fundraiser for the athletic department because the athletic department for the University of Hawaii has a problem because again travel is so expensive. So every away game for their football team like bankrupts the school.
$1 million.
Yeah, and it's a terrible team, right? So you even wonder if it's worth it. But it's the idea of Stevie Wonder coming to Hawaii, big deal. Tickets are going to go on sale. The problem is, and so when this comes out in the news, Stevie Wonder's manager, or his agent, or manager rather, gets a Google alert, right, for news about Stevie Wonder, and sees that Stevie Wonder is performing a concert in 6 weeks in Hawaii, and says, "Stevie, do you know anything about this show?" Stevie Wonder knows nothing about this show. Some fake concert promoters sold this show to the University of Hawaii and got hundreds of thousands of dollars from the university for Stevie Wonder, and they had zero relationship with Stevie Wonder.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so I got assigned the case, traveled around the world, caught the two guys. They both ended up pleading guilty and going to prison for it. But it was a huge local news story just because it involved a celebrity.
I mean, that's kind of a hilarious scam, though. Like, that's so terrible. I feel for all the people who spent money on that, but also, like, a fake Stevie Wonder concert
What was
of
the
all
university
the
thinking? They never, ever took the time to
how did they not vet this?
Well, again, they're not really experienced in this. This
True.
isn't what they do. And also, they're dealing with the athletic department, right? They're dealing with the coach who needs to get uniforms and figure out how they're going to get the ladies' volleyball team.
Yeah, the football coach has a 6-figure credit budget, and he doesn't want to talk to your manager.
So the athletic director, it's not his jam. He's not a concert promoter.
Yeah.